that's not a happy engine. Welcome back to Living with a Classic, and if you're new to my channel, I hope you stick around and consider subscribing. I put out new videos twice a week on some Jaguar and classic car related content. Today's video is a little bit different. We're going to do a product review and test if an engine flush, I'm using Wristloan 15-minute engine flush, if that can save that engine you heard in the beginning of the video that's making that terrible noise. Might sound like bottom end noise in the video, but I don't think that's what it is. It's something in the top end. It's like a lifter tick, or I think on this particular engine, the 3-liter Jaguar V6, I think it's the variable valve timing that's just not getting oil pressure and making a terrible noise. So the car came to me. It's not my car, it's a friend of mine's. It's a 1999 or a 2000. It's an early Jaguar S-Type with the 3-liter Jaguar V6, a Ford-derived V6. Running fine, nothing specific, nothing wrong with it at all. Then he stopped at a grocery store or gas station and just started making this terrible noise at idle. So he called me up right away and asked if he could bring the car over to my place and I can have a look at it. So he brought it over. When it came here, it wasn't making any sound at all. It was pretty quiet, but then we let it idle for a bit and started to hear the noise a little bit, but it wasn't really bad at all. It just, it was just a weird little sound. Didn't think much of it, parked the car up, and I was doing other things. And then in the evening I was going to move the car to put it into my other barn over there, and I noticed that it was making a terrible noise. So we're just going to see if it is something that's gummed up so that there is no oil pressure getting up to the top of the engine, and see if we can free it up and make it live again and live on. Maybe it won't last forever, but maybe we'll see if we can actually get it working. I thought it'd be cool to try one of these because I've seen a few videos, especially one on a channel called Project Farm, where he tried, it wasn't Wristloan, but he tried seafoam on a Ford engine as well. That was just making a terrible lifter knock. It sounded awful. And after just 10-15 minutes, it sounds perfect. It was completely quiet. And I just thought that was amazing. I can't get a hold of seafoam where I live, but I could get a hold of this one, which I've heard is good as well. So I want to see if I can get the same results. So let's head on over to my barn where the car is. You get to hear what it sounds like. We'll pour this in, see if it makes a difference. If it does, we'll change out the oil and the filter, and hopefully the car can be back on the road again. So here's that 3-liter Jaguar V6. That doesn't sound very happy. It's quite noisy and tappety. And I've heard this engine run just a few weeks ago and it's very smooth and very quiet. So something has happened pretty suddenly. And it feels like it's something on this bank. It's a little noisy and tappety, and you can hear it and feel it over here. So my guess is maybe something is a little bit stuck or gummed up, or it's not getting oil pressure up to the top here, because it goes away with RPM. When you're driving, you don't really notice it. When you come to stop or an idle, it definitely starts to make that sound. So above about 1500 RPMs, I think it's getting oil up here, just not at idle. So that's why I hope maybe an engine flush will help out. And before anyone asks, yes, there is oil on it. It's between minimum and maximum. It's a little dark, so it's definitely due for a change. The one thing I did notice that it's hard to explain, but it doesn't feel right. It feels too tacky, and it feels kind of sludgy. So it feels to be a thicker viscosity than it should be. Get that back. See if I get that back in. There we go. So definitely I think an oil flush is going to help. I'm going to start it up right now so you can hear what it sounds like. Then I'm going to let it warm up. We're following instructions on the can. I don't really want to let this thing run anymore because it sounds terrible. It sounds like it's self-destructing, but hopefully it's not. So I'm going to let it warm up then after I've let you guys hear what it sounds like. Then, according to instructions on the can, we'll pour it into a hot engine, restart it, and run it for about 15 minutes at variable speed. So you're going to let it idle a bit, let it circulate, rev it up a bit, just let it run through. And then we'll see what it sounds like after 15 minutes. Hopefully it's better. Drain out the oil, let that drain out for a long time. In with some fresh oil of the correct viscosity, and see if this thing runs and sounds better. And as you guys can hear, it's not that happy. It's very tappety. These are usually very smooth, very quiet engines. If I feel on this side, I mean, it doesn't feel much vibration at all. But on this side, I can definitely almost feel it in the valve cover. so it's not really a happy camper. Even though this almost feels kind of cruel, it feels like I'm torturing it. I'm just gonna let it run like this at idle for about 10 minutes or so until it gets up to operating temperature. Then I'll shut it down and we'll pour in that engine flush. It's about 10 minutes later and it's up to operating temperature. I mean, the oil is definitely not fully up to temperature, but I don't want to run it anymore. Cooling is up to temperature, and randomly we have the ABS light on, which I don't really know what that's about, so I guess we'll have to investigate that later, but no need to investigate that if the engine's trashed. So I'm going to shut it off now. Oh, that's a lot more quiet. We'll go and have a look at that Rizlone can, read instructions one more time, and pour it into the crankcase. Once again, here's the can I'm using. I'm in no way, shape, or form sponsored anyway. I've just heard that this thing is supposed to be really good, and I've seen some good reviews of it, and it was easy for me to get a hold of where I usually order my oil. Let's open up here. And that's one thing also is a little weird. You can see there's a tiny bit of oil in there, but not very much. So I'm not sure if it's getting, full oil circulation up to the head. That's one of my guesses, but you never know. Let's pour this into the engine. Now every last drop should be in there. Put the cap back on. We're going to start it back up, and it's going to be interesting to see if I hear a difference right away or if it comes after a while, or hopefully there will be some difference at least, so fingers crossed. Alright, no immediate change at least, but I'm going to give it some time. I'll set a timer for 15 minutes and alternate between the various RPMs, and hopefully it's going to sound a lot better. Alright, I really regret that I turned off the camera, but all I did was rev it 2 times up to about 3,000 RPMs, which is the max you can rev this thing when it's in park. And just listen to it now. I can't believe it. I'm going to go and rev it again and see what it sounds like. I don't know what to say. I really wish I didn't turn off the camera. I mean, that's probably the biggest regret I'll ever have, but it sounds like it's supposed to. It's back to normal. And it's only been maybe 2 or 3 minutes. So I'm gonna let this run for the full 15 minutes, and then we'll see what it sounds like. Now it's been about 15 minutes, and it sounds completely normal. It's nice and responsive, very quiet, no weird noise, no tapping, nothing like that. And the funny thing is now the ABS light is off, so probably that was just like a low battery issue. Pretty common on these cars, and now when it started up a few times and the battery was up, it went away. So I'll turn the car off now. I'm going to drain out the oil, pour in some new oil, and then let's see what it sounds like with some new fresh oil in it. I can't see any weird chunks or anything coming out. Just looks like normal, very black oil. So let that drain, and I'll just change out the filter, put in new oil, and we'll start it up, and hopefully it sounds really good still. So I just completed the oil change. It has a new filter, of course. I pre-filled the filter as much as I could since it goes up just straight up, so you can do that without making a mess. This engine takes about 6.7 liters of oil when it's full, and I put in about 6.5. So it's registering about max on the dipstick at the moment. Now when it's cold, I haven't started, so I'll start it up now, and hopefully it's nice and quiet. There might be some noise right at startup just because, there's building oil pressure and filling that oil filter. But fingers crossed, it still sounds nice and smooth as it did when we had the engine flush in. And that sounds really great. We're just gonna wait for the idle to calm down a little bit, because that's when the noise, we had the noise before, and see if it's any better. Starting to go down now. And that sounds really nice and quiet. Can't feel any weird vibrations or anything. seems to be running really well. So I'm gonna turn it off now. Check for any leaks, just normal oil change procedure things. Check the level, fill up if necessary. Then I'll take it for just a quick little drive. It's pretty late right now, but I'll just take it for a quick little drive, see how it feels. Then the owner can take it on a longer test drive by themselves. But we'll see how it feels, and then we'll go back to my workshop for a bit of a conclusion on this engine flush. I don't know about you, but I'm extremely impressed by the results of this. I did not think that it would, I thought it would maybe make it a little bit better. That's why I bought multiple cans, so that it would get maybe a little bit better and we could do one more flush and see if it got better. Because I just used the recommended amount, but I got a second can, just in case it wouldn't work. But it worked right away. I really regret that I don't have it on video when it started working, but all I did was rev it out a couple times to about 2,500–3,000 RPMs. Started sounding kind of terrible, then it sounded better, and then it was just back to normal. Sounded just like it's always done before. When the oil came out, it did look a little black and terrible. It was definitely due for a change, and it felt kind of thick, but now it seems to be running fine. I filled it up with a little bit of a cheaper oil for now that I got. It's the correct viscosity for the engine. However, it's not the nicest oil I would put in the engine normally. Still meets all the requirements and everything. So I'm going to have the customer run this oil in the engine for a couple weeks. Then we'll flush it out with the second can I got. And then we'll put in a nice oil like Castrol or something like that. Big main brand oil in. And hopefully the engine will run well then and can be back on the road. But extremely impressed with this. I think I'm going to carry some and use inside dirty engines because it seems to be completely safe. If it could fix that engine, then I don't know what else it can do. Might be able to help if you have some low oil pressure, really dirty engine inside. Definitely very impressed. So let me know in the comments down below if you've used engine flush and what your experience have been. Also let me know if you want to see more of these kind of product reviews videos sometimes. Like I mentioned, I'm not really sponsored or anything like that, so I just buy these products myself. But let me know if there's any product that you think it'd be fun if I tried it out on any of the cars at home. So let me know in the comments down below if you want to see more of that. Anyways, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. If you're not already subscribed to the channel and you like these kind of videos, please subscribe to the channel. Anyways, until next time, I'm Adam, and this was Living with a Classic. I'll see you soon.